Hi and welcome to Easy Fishing. Today I'm going to be conducting my first tackle review, and I just want to run through a quick oversight on this. Now, a great many people rely on tackle reviews in the press before they buy products. A lot of this has stemmed from modern buying habits where we buy online without actually physically seeing the product, because not every tackle shop can carry a stock of what you want. You'll have to excuse the wind noise, it's really blowy and blustery today. So, one of the things I find annoying is you very rarely, in fact I can't remember reading a review of a bad product. So when you see guys reviewing stuff in the press, it's always, yes, this is brilliant, blah 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 blah, this is the latest super duper, you've got to have this, mortgage your wife, you know, sell the kids, buy this. Well, every product that I will review I have paid for out of my own pocket, and I have limited resources, so I have to be careful about what I buy because I cannot afford to waste money. So you will be seeing an honest review of everything that I test, and none of it has been given to me by tackle companies or tackle shops, you know, in return for a bit of sponsorship or anything like that. It's one of the reasons I don't think I would want to be sponsored, because they would expect you to use that company's gear, which is not always the best. So here we go. The first product I'm reviewing is a pole. It's a starter pole. It is what I would recommend for a person looking to buy their first long pole on a budget. The pole in question, the Drennan Red Range 11m carp pole. Cost £225. You might get a pound or two here and there, but Drennan prices are pretty much the same wherever you go. What do you get? You get a 11m, and it is 11m, and this is important, pole with two top kits, one in the pole and one spare. Why is 11m important? Because a lot of poles say they're 11, 13, 16 meters, whatever, and they are not. Drennan poles are the length stated. Now, the Red Range pole for a beginner I think is the best on the market. It's probably not the cheapest at 225 quid, because I've seen poles slightly less. In fact, I've seen some 11m poles for £60, but I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole, or your barge pole, come to that. It's usable straight from the bag. You don't even have to cut back the tip section. So when you buy the pole, you get an 8-section 11m pole with a spare top too. Now, when you buy a Drennan pole, specifically this one, you get a little bag of goodies. You get a little bag containing a Drennan roller cone, PTFE bushes to suit the pole, and side puller beads. You get 2 of these with the pole. Now, the bushes, they supply 2 different sizes of bushes. One is a 2.9mm internal diameter, and the other one is a 5.4, which is the biggest. With the pole bush, the smaller of the 2 bushes, they are perfect for Drennan yellow bungee rated at 10 or 12, which I guess is ideal for most normal commercial fisheries, and they're just big enough in diameter to squeeze a Drennan pink in. But if you want to use anything bigger than a pink, you need to use a bigger bung. Now, I don't use the bushes supplied. I buy Drennan, a pack of Drennan Super Slicks. They're rated for pink and red, and they are a 3.8mm internal, which is big enough to take a red bungee. 5.1 external, and they fit. You only have to cut 2 or 3 inches off the pole if you're confident enough to do it. The reason I fit that size is because I got a tip from an England man. Drennan, if you want to fish lighter elastics, that bore's a bit big, but if you buy a pair of 2.6 Super Slicks, they push straight inside it, which gives you a pretty much ideal elastic for anything up to about 10 solid or 12 solid, should you so need it. Drennan also supply you with a cupping kit adapter and a cupping kit. So the package is good to go. In fact, if you buy a Drennan bungee elastic to go with it, or you've got a connector and you're good to go. I've put up a video showing you how to elasticate a red range pole. One of the few modifications I do to them is I remove the nose cone in the top of the number 2 section and fit a census bush in the top. It's a foam bush, same as the Drennan, but it has a PTFE bush in, and the reason I do that is so that when the pole is hooped over under pressure, the elastic glides more freely. But you can drill out the existing foam bush and just push a PTFE bush in it. So there we go. So back to the pole itself. What's it like? Well, I have to admit, it performs better than you would expect. It's fishable quite happily at 11 metres. You can fish a short, shallow rig, and you can turn a rig over and slap it quite happily. The Drennan website video for this pole will show you Dan Varney doing exactly that. Strength wise, it's really strong. It's not unbreakable. It's rated to a 20 elastic, which is, unless you're going for really extreme situations, will do everything you want. But for most guys, if you fish commercials, one I would say fitted with yellow bungee or an equivalent hollow, and one fitted with either a thicker hollow or a solid for margin work and bigger fish hauling. Now, one of the things about buying these poles is the cost of spares. They are ridiculously cheap. I have about 8 or 9 top kits because they're less than £30 each, and they all have side puller slots already fitted and are supplied with roller cones, so they're easy to set up, and I've done a video showing you how to do that. Some of them I have fitted with slimmer elastics. Number 5's about as small as I go. You could go down to a number 3 if you were catching really minute fish, but I don't bother because I don't normally target them. What's it good for? It is absolutely perfect for your starter pole for anybody. It's a great long margin pole. It's long enough in open water situations to reach the fish. Now, if you fish only snake lakes that are normally 13 metres wide, you might want to consider the next one up from this, which is the Red Range RX Carp, or Combat Carp I think they're called. 13 metres, gain a great pole, but I would recommend this one for beginners because it's slightly more robust and more forgiving of mistakes, and the last thing you want to do is crack a section, which was the reason I bought this. I fish a venue, the Great Ooze, and a lot of the section I fish has concrete banks and is exposed to the wind and has some big fish, and I've broken 2 or 3 middle sections like 5s and 6s playing very big fish because you had to haul them. So I decided I wanted a cheap pole that would haul big fish out. I could lend it to people I'm teaching to fish without any worries about it. It's performed admirably, everything from roach to big carp, and a level of indication of its performance is not long after I got the pole, I was tench fishing at night in a clear water swim, and I stepped down to a black hydroelastic rated at about 12 to 16 and a slightly lighter hook, and I hooked a double figure carp that went off and was trying to go to King's Lynn on its first run, and this pole stopped it. It bent over and the elastic bottomed out, but the pole didn't even complain, and I got the fish out. There's a picture of it on Drennan's website if you're interested. Lovely chunky fish, not a tame stocky. This was a lean, well, it wasn't lean, it was actually short and fat, but it fought like mad, as most double figure carp tend to. They tend to give you a really good scrap. I've had carp to just over 16 pounds on it without any problems whatsoever. I use it on the canals where it's long enough to reach the far bank shallow water on most canals. I've never had any worries about it. I chuck it around, I abuse it. I do look after it and I clean it and take care, but there's some scratches where it's been through thorn bushes and stuff like that, but it's held up to about, well, I bought this when it came out, so I must have had this well over 2 years now, and it's still good and it's still holding out. Going back to the spares thing, one of the things, if you get into pole fishing, you will find you will need spares. If you only fish commercials, the top 2 supplied with a pole are 2.3 metres long, which is probably deep enough for most commercials, but not all. Some, the couple that spring to mind, Polwyn Lake on White Acres has some deep swims. You'll need extra number 3s, and they're £30. Hayfield Lakes, and there's a few others that are deeper. Or if you're fishing a river where you need a longer rig because you want to run it down, you'll need some extra sections, and they are cheap. This is a whole thing. I mean, when I snapped the last number 5 on my expensive British made pole by a major manufacturer, I nearly died when they told me the cost of the spares. It was like, whoa, too much. So well, that was one of the reasons that I bought this. I would say for anybody who wants to buy their first pole, long pole that is, this is the one to go for. I've had a play with most of the other manufacturers' poles and had a fish with a few of them. There's some good poles around, don't get me wrong. Browning, Daiwa, etc. all make good poles. Map, Preston, but I've yet to find anything that will match this performance of this pole at this price and have the ease of spares back up. I mean, you can go into any Drennan dealer and get spares. You have to order them, but they always arrive pretty quickly usually, and like I said, they're really cheap. I've got about 8 top kits, 3 number 3s, couple of number 4s and a number 5, and because I fish a deep river, that covers me for just about every eventuality, and I expect this pole to last me a long time. So there you go. I paid for this out of my own pocket. No one gave me any money for it. No one's paying me to say how good it is or how bad it is. I'm not going to lie, because I think it's very important that you can rely on reviews. And my reviews are different, because this is tackle that I've bought and I've used for a long time. So I won't be buying something and reviewing it a week later and telling you how wonderful it is, because that's not how a good tackle review works. I think you need to take tackle out and abuse it and use it, and then you can tell how good it is, especially with poles, which are a major investment. Now, this is a very cheap pole, £225 nowadays. That's nothing pole wise. I have a much more expensive flagship margin pole, but when I'm fishing in 1 or 2 spots that have concrete lined banks, and on a windy day I don't really want to risk smacking a section on the concrete, this comes out the bag and has never let me down. So buy one of these with confidence, and you will have a pole that will last you for a long time, give you a lot of pleasure. On a final note, don't expect a £225 pole to fish like a flagship pole. It's not going to be absolutely rigid at 11 metres, and I think that's better for the user in some ways, because there's some give in this pole. If you get caught in a big gust of wind, it'll bend without you hearing that sickening crack sound, but it's stiff enough to fish with. It will handle thick elastics up to a number 20 without any problem. I've got red hydro and Drennan red bungee in mine, no problem at all with either of those elastics, and that's about as big as, apart from extreme situations, that you need. At the other end of the situation, I quite often use it on the canal. In fact, I use it on the canal a lot, and it's at home catching small gudgeon, small roach on bread punch or pinky over ground bait. Pretty much it's my standard pole. I do bring out my flagship margin pole from time to time because I love using it, but for a beginner, buy yourself one of these. You will not regret it. Oh, and don't be fooled by the fact that it says carp on it, because it'll catch everything. Silverfish, carp, whatever. Tench, bream. I'm going to take it down the river next summer and have a go for barbel with it, which should be interesting to say the least. So there you have it. A good, honest review. Stuff I've paid for out of my own pocket. So until next time, bye from Easy Fishing. Thanks for watching.